Good evening, everybody. First of all, I would say I'm very happy to be here tonight to introduce my vision on the future of the AWP business. And I'm also very happy to be here tonight because if you can remember my face, I run out of cards today. So if you meet me tomorrow, if you can avoid to exchange it, it will make my tomorrow days on the show a bit easier. So I'm Alexandre Saubot, Haulotte CEO, and I want to make a brief speech about the future, knowing that if you look at the title of what I want to say or what I'm asked to say, there is an easy part, it's manufacturer perception, as it's my daily business, I can give you what I feel, and there is a tricky part, which is the future, because it's easy to look at the past and make comments. It's a bit more difficult to forecast what will happen in a nice and interesting country like India. So to review what could be the Indian AWP rental market in the future, I think it's interesting to look at what happened in other countries when they go from no AWP to significant volume. And I think you can notice always the same three drivers that is helping the market to grow. The first one is specific application. Shipyard, petrochemical, basically all the places where there is no obvious other solution than AWP to do the job that the people has to do. That normally represents up to 10-15% of the long-term market. That's the easiest to access. You have, I would say, key players. There is benchmark all around the world, and the information about the fact that our AWP product can be very helpful on some specific application they need is normally distributing pretty fast. The second driver is always linked to productivity. This one, I think, in India is probably not the one that will drive the business on the short term. Labor rates and condition of work is clearly very different than compared to what we can see in Western countries. And I wouldn't bet on this driver to grow the market in the future. I'm more confident about all what is linked to safety. I think even if today you may have the feeling that this is not a big concern for authority, work site and so on, this is likely to become one of the main drivers of the development of the AWP. And I think on that, rental companies have a key role to play, a very important role to play, because you are the one that are able to identify examples of misuse of other tools, who are able to promote the product on job site, knock on the door, leave a machine for a few days or a few weeks, and try to make the people understand that, okay, it's a bit more expensive than a scaffolding, it's a bit specific tool, but it's really making their lives safer. And within this, I think there is also a great support that can come from regulation, which clearly means that part of the subject that the Indian rental market in AWP have to deal with is how do we make the regulation in India evolving. Of course, you can say, I look at European regulation and I request to have the same tomorrow. But believe me, it will not be the solution. It will not be the solution for two reasons. The first one is I do not believe that all constructors and all contractors will agree to have all those rules applying straight away to them. And second, I do not believe that the industry is able to answer the demand that would come from such a regulation. So you have to imagine a progressive process where clearly you start to have all those authorities sensitive to all the issues you are promoting, and try to demonstrate that one step after the other, you can help them to answer some of the questions. At one moment, to make AWP market big, and mainly through rental companies, you need to have this moment where environment, regulation and demand is equivalent to the offer. So it means that before you get to that moment, it's very important you identify your ability to grow your own fleet. And to grow your own fleet, of course you can bring new equity, but believe me, that's very expensive. One way to grow fleet is to be able to raise enough debt. And to raise enough debt, you have two leverage. The first one is an efficient financial market, where the banks will be willing to lend you money to buy some of our kits. And for that, you have to be very careful to one thing, which is the value of the asset. What is really helping is when you can borrow money against the value of the asset. Therefore, I'm sure you all understand, I don't want to discount my new and used machine, but it's also protecting the value of your asset on the long term and making your funders happy when they have to either get back the machine and resell them. It's very important you bring confidence so that money is available. The second very important thing to support the growth of the market is making a lot of money. So of course you can make a lot of money asking the supplier to give you every year a 10% discount. But believe me, that stops very fast. Maybe you can get it the first year, you may get half the second year, but after that you need to think about something else. And the best way is to keep the rental rates at decent level. Not crazy level, because if they are too high, you will not go in the market, but decent level so that you're able to show nice profitability and therefore bring confidence to all the people you want to bring money into business. And for that, at the very beginning, as I think the market in India is offering a lot of opportunity, it's very important you're not focusing on the place where there is already a machine and try to make this yellow machine replaced by a blue one, or this company machine replaced by mine, but really think all the places where there is no machine and there could be one. Because those customers have less price preference, they will see obvious benefit from going from the old kits they were using to AWP, and you definitely create a profitable business. On this basis, you will be able to grow your business, make the offer big enough, and at one moment be able to answer the future regulation about safety. So if you listen carefully to all what I said, you will probably have that subject in mind, which is basically I make money one side and I push on the administration on the other side to have regulation evolving progressively, so that at one moment it becomes obvious that the only way to work in AIDS is using access equipment. This is a pretty long process. I would guess at least 5 years, probably between 5 and 10 years. So you have some time to be ready. And there is a few subjects that can speed up the process or that can help the process. I mentioned one, which is regulation. There is a second one, which is all what has to do with infrastructure. Your knowledge of the Indian economy and Indian market is much better than mine, but all what you can read in Europe about India, it's an amazing country with a huge population, an amazing potential, but you have limitation on exchange, you have tax burden, you have infrastructure limitation that is clearly reducing or limiting the potential of growth of your economy. And I think in terms of additional business, where once again to be efficient, to be fast and to be safe, a lot of AWP can be used there. And the last big opportunity, trying to find out what happened in other countries, is if you can convince one of the cities to bid for the Olympics and win it. Believe me, if you look what happened into Sochi, into many places currently in Brazil, where they have the World Cup and the Olympic Games within 2 years, this is creating a huge opportunity for important construction and job sites that definitely require access equipment. And why do that require access equipment? Of course, because you get big contractors, they're all looking for their standard way of working. That's one part. But the most important is because they have a deadline. And when you organize big projects like that, believe me, they are always late. But the date of the opening of the World Cup or the Olympic Games or whatsoever cannot be changed. So when they get closer and closer, they realize that the only way to be on time is to be faster. And then you're back to my comment at the beginning, which is productivity. Maybe you could have 10 people working on the site, but if you want to be fast, at one moment there is no more space to bring more people around the place where they have to work. When you bring a few access equipment, all of a sudden everything goes faster, and at one stage that's the only way for them to finish the work on time. So I don't know which one of you knows the key people in India, but my strong recommendation would be to push hard to get the next Olympic Games somewhere in India. I'm sure this will do very efficiently. the development of this product, and could be a smart way to reduce a bit the 5 to 10 years I'm thinking today. In terms of supporting the development of the business, I think also that good relationship between the players, having a strong association with a recognized president, whoever he is, and I don't know all of you, and I apologize for that. But to have someone who has an history, who cannot be challenged for anything he's done in the business, that will be leading an association where we share information. Don't believe you can share price and discuss that, it's never working. But the way to grow the business, sharing information about good behavior together is a very important place. And the latest to have that in place, the more difficult it will be. Because you will always see strange behavior or things you don't understand coming from this or that or there. And having a place where you can just discuss about what is good for the business, standard practice in terms of whether it could be having the deliveries paid or having the insurance paid, or just standard practice on the business. What is safe, what is not safe, how do we manage the lifetime of the equipment, what do we do with more than 5 years old machine, more than 10 years old machine. I'm sure you're facing a big challenge today, which is today the rent of a 15 years old machine bought used wherever in Europe, and the rental rate of a brand new machine delivered in India is very similar. And of course the purchase price of those two machines are different. Of course the lifetime of the two machines are different. But overall, I think it's very important you try to imagine together what is the future of your business, and you try to build the right tools to achieve that bright future. Another interesting subject that has been achieved in other countries is all what is linked to training. I don't know if any of you is already IPAF member, but it's very important that you get enough people that are educated to use an access equipment. At the first look, using an access equipment is very easy. My grandmother can drive one, but I'm not sure she can do the job that is required from the machine. Just have a few joysticks, and it's very easy to move, a bit like a game or whatever. But when you start working in a specific environment where you have to be at a specific place doing a specific job, all of a sudden it becomes trickier, and it can sometimes be a bit dangerous if the people are not trained. So for what I know for India today, most of this subject is addressed through a rental machine with driver. So you call that wet lease, I think. At the very beginning I was surprised by the name, and it gave me the best quiz I can have in Western Europe, which is what do you think is a wet lease in India? Nobody knows. But if you think about this way, you're just using 30 to 50% of the capacity of the basket for a driver that is doing nothing up there. So any investment you can make in training the people, and at one stage being able to leave the machine within the end of someone that will not damage it, will know how to operate it, will improve the productivity and all what you can do with the machine. So we have this IPAF system in Europe that is developing in many countries, that is providing just standard training process, standard training course. Any rental company can apply and then develop this. I'm sure there is also a very big challenge for Indian market. Very big challenge, because you will get to the fact that being able to run the machine without a driver, or being able to operate the machine without a driver, will create a lot of value for the user of the machine, and there is some cost saving for the rental company or for the company who is renting the kits. I'm not saying this will be achieved in 2 days. It may also be a pretty long process. But keep in mind that every time you have a guy just there for driving the machine, you're running 30 to 50% of the capacity of the equipment. That's, for me, very important. And if I look more shorter term, I think India is also offering us great potential. For those who don't know us very well, Haulotte is selling in India since 2004, 2005. We really are there thanks to a few key people. I see some of them in the room, and I take the opportunity to thank all of them. It's for great dealer Gemini and some of our very good customers. that have learned us a lot about the Indian market. I hope we give them back some of our AWP knowledge to help everybody in this room to be better. But I think it's very important to see that any new market is offering great opportunities. So for us, for instance, it's a great opportunity because one of the biggest GLG dealers in Europe is operating 99% of AWP here in India. And if I want to sell them a Haulotte machine in Europe, it's just not possible. So you see, when you go to a brand new country with brand new environment, you are able to do great things. It's just different. So my main message is that the future of the Indian market is in your hands. It will be what you decide to make it. With our European or worldwide experience, we will always be there to support any of your questions, make any good recommendation. But at the end of the day, you know your country, you know your people, you know the demands, and Indian AWP market will be what you make for it. Thank you very much. And I'm of course very happy to answer any question. And I promise I won't answer in French. Yes?
It was from Nifty Lift, but I was just wondering what you think the total market is in terms of AWPs at the moment in India.
Well, with the quantity of second-hand machines that have entered the country, and it's not always easy to track all of them, but today it's clearly a few thousand units that are sitting in India. Somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000 probably, maybe a bit more. I don't know if Suma wants to correct me on this one. Last year market in terms of new units was probably between 200 and 300 units, and the second-hand market was between 1.5 and 2 times that amount. So that's one of the challenges India is facing, is to decide whether they go for old machine, they buy cheap, which create obvious benefit in terms of covering low rental rates and paying lower tax. But if you try to compare with Korea, who did the same process at the beginning, it take them 15 years, or probably between 15 and 20 years, to start to emerge from this market that was organized around 5 to 15 years old machine, mainly bought from the big rental company in the US. And it was very difficult for them to get within the new equipment and a lot of application. So it's a choice to be made. The moment the choice still can be made, and once again I'm back to my comment, it's your call. But I would say today Indian market is a few thousand units in terms of fleets, and in terms of sales, it's probably a few hundreds every year. And if anyone has a good trick to monitor the used machine getting in, please let me know. It will help me setting my target to my local team. Okay, do you want to hear the next one? Thank you very much.